Alright, welcome along. My name's Bosh. This is Bosh's Ableton Beginner Bits, and today we're going to be taking a look at brass and the horns section. Now, it's never easy to make horns using MIDI instruments and sort of the presets that are within Ableton Live, but we're going to have a good go. Now, I am well aware that there is nothing sounding better than actual horns. These sound nowhere near, I'm not going to lie, but we're just going to take a look at how you would stack them up and a way that you can make it so that you can play a whole horn section, 3-4 horns with one key. Again, very basic, very simple. If you want to really sort of make those horn sections sound good and a bit more realistic, then you're going to have to do this individually. You're going to have to make individual instruments, which I might do in another video, and stack them up and rearrange them that way, change notes and things like that. But this is just a quick method just to get you into how horns work and what they are, and the best way, I think, to put them together in an easy-to-use way. So you're not messing around too much, moving notes around and things. Now, before I start, I always have to tell you about buymeacoffee.com/BoshDubs, and there you can support this channel for the price of a coffee. But more important than that is interacting with the channel. So if you can subscribe, like, share, comment, watch videos, all that kind of business, that's what really helps this channel move and grow and get these videos out to people like you who want to see content like this. So let's get into it. This is looking at basic horns stacking. Now, what we're going to end up with, I've already built one of these devices, so we're going to end up, I'll just play you a little. Do I need that on? I don't need that on. All right, so I'm going to just play you. All right, so as we know, it's MIDI instruments, it's basic presets in Ableton. It's never going to sound like real horns, but you can kind of get a feel for it and get an idea. Maybe you can put some of these in your tune. Just play around with them, have a mess around and see what comes out. So the first thing we need to do is make a MIDI track. So Control and Shift and T, we get a new MIDI track. And then in Ableton's instruments, we're going to start stacking up Ableton basic instruments. So if you don't know much about like reggae and horns and brass and things like that, the brass section is built up usually of 3 different brass instruments. So it's normally, if I'm not mistaken, you're going to be having a trombone, a saxophone, and a trumpet. That's how I'm going to arrange it. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit of how you can add more, but we're going to start with a basic 3 stack. So trombone, saxophone, trumpet. They're the main 3 ones. So let's just go into Ableton's instruments and just type in trumpet. Let's go to instrument rack, brass, and then we want the solo. We want all the solo instruments for this because we're using individual instruments. We're not building a stack of trumpets or whatever. So we want the trumpet solo. That's the first one I'm going to drag into there. Now we're going to drag it onto your MIDI channel. And there you have your trumpet solo. Now, let's just minimize a few of these extra things just so it's a bit easier to manage. Now, before we start stacking, what I'm going to do is just... Quick thing to mention, if you're playing the instrument and it runs out of notes and there's no sound on one of your notes, like when I'm pressing a note here now, there's no sound, that's because it's out of the range, like the musical range of the instrument. Each one of these instruments has a limit to how low and high it can go, and that limit is applied on these as well. So you do have to be a little bit careful. You might end up running out of notes if you keep it in a too low an octave or something like that. So let me get back up. All right, so we've got a trumpet, basic sounding. I'm just going to do a few little tweaks on it just to make it sound a little bit more natural, if possible. So that's very flat. We're going to add a little bit of motion. Not that much. About there. See what the colour does. And then the the articulation just turns it into a staccato stab, so we'll leave that there. And I think the rest of it, yeah, we can kind of leave that as it is. Do bear in mind, again, as I've already said, it does sound quite sort of cheap and basic, but we're just playing around. So the next thing we want is a trombone. Now, let's find bass trombone section, trombone, they're all sections, solo. So we've only got bass trombone solo here. We haven't got a regular trombone solo. I don't know if that's the thing. Now, what we need to do before we drag this in, because obviously you can't drag this onto your trumpet track or it'll just overwrite it. So you're going to click on trumpet solo, your instrument here. Oh. and then Control and G to put it into a group. And then you see these little little horizontal lines there. You're gonna click on that. And now this is where you can start to stack your instruments. So you've got the name of the instrument, you've got a little volume and a pan control. So you could pan it a little bit as well. But we're going to start dragging our other instruments into this sort of section. So let's find the bass trombone solo, drag it in underneath the trumpet solo. Okay, so we've got the bass trombone there. And now you see, there we go. So again, we ran out of range on the bass. That's only trumpet. Let's see, is that? There we go. Okay, so we're in the range and we've got the trumpet and then the trombone. Yeah, together. All right, doesn't sound like much at the moment, but we're going to get there. So the next thing you need is the saxophone. Let's type in sax. Let's go orchestral, winds, what we got? Yeah, it's the same one. Have we got any others? I think it's going to be the same. Sax lead. Lead. Yeah, it's going to be this alto sax solo legato. Let's drag that in here as well. And now we've got all three playing at once. So you've got the sax, which is loud, got the bass, and then you got the trumpet. Okay, so this is our basic stack. Now what I'm going to do is rearrange these. So I'm going to put the bass trombone, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to put the bass trombone at the top, because that's my bass one, sax in the middle, and then trumpet at the top there, at the bottom, sorry. The reason I'm doing that is because at my bass, I'm basically doing it top to bottom as the lowest to the highest instruments. So we've got this stack. Saxophone's aggressively loud. That's not too bad now. Okay, so we're getting there. We've built a little, made it a bit thicker. Now what we want to do, this is where the sort of the trick part of it comes in. You're going to start looking at your MIDI instruments, MIDI effects. So let's go at MIDI effects and let's go to pitch. And now we're going to do the bass trombone. We want that to play the lowest of the notes. So let's find where the sort of low end of the bass trombone is. Okay, we're down. Okay, so it's G. Yeah, this is where we want to be. Let's go one up. Yeah, that's legit. All right, so that's going to be where the first note of our horn is. That's going to be the lowest part. Sorry. So the next thing we're going to do, let's mute the trumpet, and so we've just got trombone and sax. Now we're going to take this pitch MIDI effect and drop it just before the alto sax solo legato. And now watch, I'll hold the note and put the pitch up. Alright, so you can start building your stack and that's automatically playing an octave higher than the bass. Alright, so that's alright, it's getting there, we're sounding a little bit better. I could leave that low. Let's see how. Yeah, that's definitely thicker. All right, so I'm going to leave that. At 0. All right. What have I just done? Oh yeah, no, it's all right. Yeah, I'm going to leave that one at 0 so we can delete it. Why it keeps moving. And then let's add the trumpet. Now, what I'm going to do here, you can see, if you look at this little meter just here, you can see that that's not, we're lower than that range that we talked about earlier. So I'm going to use pitch. Again, drag it in just before the trumpet solo. Let's put 12. And now we've got our trumpet. We're in that trumpet range and it's automatically going to stay there. Now let's see where it runs out. All right. And that is a basic octave 3 brass stack. So all we've done is they're just playing octaves from each other and it's 3 brass instruments. Simple. So what I'm going to do now is just have a little jam. I've got this tune that I'm working on already. It's just called That Stepper at the moment. Not much more to it. It's just a skank and a bass and a drums. And then I'm just going to play a little bit with this brass. Let's turn it down a little bit. So I think that's not too bad. Now, you can add more and change this and mess around with it, basically using the pitches and the instruments. So what I can do is let me get another... I'm going to add another trumpet solo. I'm just going to duplicate that one that's already existing. Now, the only thing we're going to change on the duplicated one is the motion speed, just a little bit, and the amount. Just so we've got 2 trumpets that technically sound different. Let's take a little bit of colour off there. And now what I'm going to do, I've got a pitch. Now I'm going to put the pitch up to 24. Let's see what it sounds like. So it's got a little bit of higher end in there now. Okay, let's play it with the song. Now, the only thing I would say do with this is strip everything down and mix it volume-wise. So, let's remove all the volumes here. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to record. I'm going to record a little bit. All right, so we've got a thing. We've got a thing. There we go. And now what we can do is strip. Pull this back down to the bass trombone. I'm going to pull that as loud as it'll go. And then I'm just going to slowly start adding in. I might just pan those a little bit as well. Now let's add that first trumpet. And let's add the second trumpet. Okay, now the tune. I'm going to pull that trombone down a little bit. Let's pan our trumpets a little bit. All right. So that, again, we're just doing octave stacking. That is literally just the same note, low C, high C, whatever, higher C, playing across each note. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add another, I'm going to duplicate the saxophone. Actually, no. I'm going to duplicate the trombone. I'm going to put another pitch on this second trombone. Hang on, why is that not? There we go. I'm going to put another pitch on here. Let's just solo these two. I'm going to pan that to the right a little bit, and then I'm going to put... Okay, that's an octave. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start trying to play around with intervals in between the octaves. So we're going to go for a minor third, a fifth, and then we're just going to go for... I'm just going to noodle around and see what sounds good, basically. So, let's put these together and let's change that to 5 semitones. Let's try 4. All right, let's try 7. I think that's the most cohesive so far. Let's just go back to 4 again. I feel like 4 should... Oh no, 3. So 3's definitely got a minor sound to it. I think it's going to be 3 or 7. Go back to 3. Now I'm going to add this to the normal or the rest of the stack. Let's go 7. Let's try back to 3 again. It definitely thickens it up. It still sounds quite thin when everything's an octave. Okay, let's see how that sounds in the tune. Try 7. All right. I think I might leave it there, to be honest. I think that's about it. There's not much. All you can do now, all I would say is go now, once you've got this set up, save it. So you can click this little save icon. Actually, this is something I should probably teach you. I don't know if you know this. But all these plugins, everything here, has got this little save icon, this little disc. Although it's so small, it doesn't really look like a save icon. But if you click on that, which I've just done, in the instrument rack section, it's going to save it as one of your own instrument racks. I've got these mega horns I've already saved, but I can save that as that rack, and then when I drag it back in there, it'll be in there, ready to go. So that's the recommendation: save anything like that you make. And yeah, I think that's it for that one. I'm going to leave that there. This is a basic look at stacking horns. Yeah. What I've found is that when you're trying to make horns and you're trying to just exactly copy and repeat everything exactly, there might be odd notes that don't quite work for whatever reason. I'm no theory expert. I know a little bit, but I'm no, full-on expert. And yeah, some of the notes just don't work together. But this is a nice try. Start with the octave, just 12, 24, up and down on the pitch, and then you can start messing around with these. I'd say the best ones to look at is 3 semitones, 4 semitones, probably 5 and 7 as well are worth looking at. I'm going to leave it there now. My name's Bosh. This has been Bosh's Ableton Beginner Bits, looking at stacking basic horns. And I'll see you next time. Ciao.